Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate. Sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Florida's Fourth Estate. We are going back to school, and you know that feeling where you're excited, you've got your trapper keeper.
Okay, it's not the 70s, Ginger.
All your school supplies.
Well, the love of the game.
I wore dungarees. You know, it's one of those. I'm dating myself. We had stone tablets.
All you need now is an iPad and a hoodie. That's it for school.
A one-room schoolhouse. This year back to school, though, is going to be a little bit different, but not because any of those things, but mostly because of what kids are not going to be taught this year. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
Yeah, I'm Matt Austin. I'm right in the thick of this. I have a high schooler, a kid going to college, and an elementary schooler. So many different things have changed this year. And it is this clash between politics and education that we really haven't seen to this scale before in our history.
Why don't we just do and teach the things that matter? Why is it always someone has to try to jam their agenda down our throats?
Banning K-3 access to this book is inconceivable.
I think we have over a million books that have been or in the process of being reviewed.
And right now, Florida feels like the epicenter of the bigoted attacks against black communities and even black history, because we have a far-right governor and legislature that literally want to erase us.
Right here in Florida, they plan to teach students that enslaved people benefited from slavery.
Florida's also taken a strong stand against the imposition of gender ideology in our schools.
And one guy who knows a lot about politics and a lot about history, Dr. Jim Clark, UCF history professor, all-around good guy, friend of the show. Jim, thank you so much for joining us for this very interesting conversation on the politics as we begin the school year. Because, I mean, is it fair to say in history we've never really seen anything like this?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very strange year simply because people do not know what's happening. Teachers are unsure, administrators are unsure. You have one district doing one thing and another district doing another thing. And I just think there's so many red flags flying that it's going to be a strange year.
And it seems like teachers are going to be afraid to teach because someone can come in and say, I don't like the way this was taught in this particular classroom, and that teacher can be held accountable.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues. And the teachers are very nervous that a single student who maybe doesn't like the class or doesn't want to be in the class can complain, and it sets off a procedure.
So let's kind of go through some of the headlines that we're seeing, Jim. This made headlines nationally, is this AP Psych class.
We are working to learn what this means for our local school districts who are now dealing with this back and forth just days before students are supposed to return to the classroom. Here in Seminole County, they had planned to offer an alternative option to students who are still interested in pursuing psychology.
We really want to make sure that we're giving them all of the options that they have available to them.
Seminole County Public Schools say they have a solution for the 1,000 students enrolled in AP Psychology this year who were told by the College Board they might have to find other options. The district decided to offer AP Seminar as an alternative, a class they say will encourage lessons and research in psychology.
What does that mean? Are specifics still being worked out?
Yes, specifics are still going to be worked out, but what we can tell you is it's not the same course. It's not AP Psychology.
Late Friday afternoon, Florida's education commissioner sent superintendents across the state a new letter telling them they believe the course can still be taught in its entirety. The day before, the College Board shared this statement, saying the Department of Education had informed schools its AP Psychology class violates state law. The Parental Rights in Education Act restricts instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in classrooms. Now that Florida's education commissioner says they are not discouraging any district from teaching this course, The board also gave a new response, saying in part, quote, "We hope now that Florida teachers will be able to teach the full course without fear."
For people who don't know, this class is really common. And in fact, it's so common, my daughter Lulu was supposed to be in it this year. And so it's really complicated. I have seen this whole story. It's weird when you see these stories play out in your own life and you're talking about them at work. So she was in AP Psych. The local school district, Orange County Schools, came out and said, hey, we can't teach this class anymore. Then the state came back and said, oh, yeah, no, we're good. You can teach the class. Go ahead and do it in its entirety. And then the school district came back and said, no, we're still not going to teach the class. I'm assuming, so my kid has been like, oh, I'm in the class. I'm out of the class. I'm in the class. I'm out. What am I going to do? She doesn't even know what class. And this is after the schedules have already come out. It's been very complicated for them to try to navigate, for parents to try to navigate. And it's all to do with sort of the gender roles and how that played into psychology, which apparently is a small part of this class. Can you sort of unpack it for us, Jim, as to why this is an issue in the first place?
First of all, it is not a requirement that students take AP classes. Most students avoid AP classes and just want to get through the regular classes. These are for the really super bright kids. And again, they sign up for it. Obviously, the parents can have involvement in this. And now, because of some things that the AP people have put into it, the state is saying, no, this is a violation of the new state law. So, but the state law is being challenged. It's just very unclear what's going to happen. Earlier, we had the controversy over the AP history exam, which is still going on. Mm-hmm. And so for students who want to take these, this is a troubled time.
Jim, I can't remember a time where we have made such a big to-do about what kids are learning or not learning in school anymore, what books they can and cannot read in school. We kind of know how we got here, but why is Florida, it seems like Florida is the epicenter for all of this, and other states are watching very closely.
Yeah, years ago, it used to be California had all the strange things going on, but it seems to have migrated to Florida. And you're absolutely right. There are a number of states led by Iowa, which see Florida as the role model, and the governor there, who's an admirer of Governor DeSantis, has been copying much of what goes on in Iowa. But the number of states looking at Florida with admiration keeps growing.
Still to come, from how politics is impacting students in the classroom to how the battle is impacting our governor's race for the White House and how students identify themselves.
I guess, Ginger, until Matt fills out the form, you'll have to call him Matthew?
Matthew it is.
That is my legal given name. Until I get it figured out, this is Matthew Austin with Florida's 4th Estate.
The struggle for teachers.
This is a very difficult thing to go about. It's constantly changing.
Your checkbook.
You could skip almost a full year at UCF by taking the right AP courses. And so imagine how much that would save a parent.
And more. The conversation continues after the break. Welcome back to Florida's 4th Estate. We're taking a look at how politics is impacting the classroom.
Why don't we just do and teach the things that matter? Why is it always someone has to try to jam their agenda down our throats?
Banning K-3 access to this book is inconceivable.
I think we have over a million books that have been or in the process of being reviewed.
And right now, Florida feels like the epicenter of the bigoted attacks against black communities and even black history, because we have a far-right governor and legislature that literally want to erase us.
Right here in Florida, they plan to teach students that enslaved people benefited from slavery.
Florida's also taken a strong stand against the imposition of gender ideology in our schools.
and how the battle over what your kids learn at school is impacting the race for the White House.
The number of states looking at Florida with admiration keeps growing.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the governor, who has gained so much attention nationally that now the things he does are looked at under the microscope. And it's getting him a lot of attention in this presidential race. How do you feel this has gone for him? You see these decisions, you see them get like the AP psych, which is causing, I mean, by the way, that psychology class, way more common than maybe a lot of people understand. At just my daughter's high school, they told us 300 kids were enrolled in that class. So take 300 in one little high school in Florida and multiply that across all the other high schools, and you have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of kids who already had their schedule and now it's changing. What do you think this is doing for him in the presidential race? Because a lot of his critics say all of these decisions he's making have to do with him becoming president one day.
Yeah, he has bet his political future on the anti-woke campaign. And surprisingly, it is not having much effect. And he keeps talking about resetting his campaign. He's had three turnover incidents when he removed his campaign manager. And he keeps going down in the polls, but he keeps working from the same playbook, which is kind of surprising.
You know, Jim, the one thing I keep thinking about, these poor teachers, although some of them are making more money, it almost is not worth it in the long run for what they have to deal with right now, because their curriculum has been upended. And as you know, as a college professor, it is difficult to put a curriculum together and then base a lesson on that, only to have it snatched and then have to figure out, okay, what am I going to replace that with? Can you go over how far in advance do you put together your syllabus or your curriculum?
Yeah, school for me starts 2 weeks from now, and I've been putting together my courses. And, you know, when I first started teaching, it was fairly simple, and now I have to communicate and coordinate with the computer folks and line up computer programs and things like that. So for teachers, there's a lot more involved than there was a few decades ago. So this is a very difficult thing to go about. It's constantly changing. You're constantly updating. But I think, Ginger, the biggest damage that as a result of this is not with the teachers, but with the parents and the students. I'm not sure people understand that if you do well on the AP course and pass the AP exam, you can get out of taking a class in college. And so, for example, Matt's daughter won't have to take introductory psychology because she took the AP course back at high school. Mm-hmm. And so she's going to be able to devote more of her time to her major. If she did really well in the class, she'll be able to get credit, which would save Matt some money. So this
that never happens.
Really
that's never allowed to happen.
More aimed at the students and the parents who I think Matt mentioned earlier that his middle daughter is just about monopolizing the AP courses.
She's taken a few of them.
I mean, you do it right, you can get into a university and you're halfway through your freshman year with credits.
Right,
I mean, if you do it the right way, you can save yourself. You can get out early or whatever.
Yeah, my daughter and many of her friends.
You can skip almost a full year at UCF by taking the right AP courses. And so imagine how much that would save a parent. And in the past, Florida has been really good. I think Florida's probably in the top 5 or 6 states in helping students. First of all, we have Bright Futures, and Matt's a beneficiary of that, true. And which was designed to keep the brightest students in the state, and it has worked. And now Florida universities are ranked in the top 10 nationally. It's been a huge boon. And then secondly, we've had the AP courses where you can, as you point out, skip a year of college and save a bunch of money. So the state has done so much to help parents and students get through college as cheaply as possible.
Yeah. And by the way, Jim, I catch a lot of flack for that in my house because Dad was a 75% Bright Futures kid. Mom and my older daughter, they're 100%ers. So they're that next level up where they got everything covered. I was just a little bit below. Just a little bit below that.
That explains, Matt, why you went to FSU. But,
I got in, and I barely got in the summer for FSU. That's true. So I wanted
a few more points, and you could have gone to Florida and been a Gator.
Oh my God! Wow.
Nobody
Jim.
wants that.
Jim.
Nobody wants that, Jim. So I wanted to ask you, because we got a letter home again with this, because my kid is like right in the middle of the controversy now. We got a letter home that said, if you want your kid to be referred to in school by their nickname, which her name is one thing and everybody on earth calls her Lulu. If you want her to be referred to by her nickname, you have to fill out this form. Otherwise, the teachers are going to have to call her by her full name. So if your name's Robert and you want your kid to be called Rob, is the example they got, you got to fill out the form. I'm just picturing these teachers looking at these kids like, hey, Billy, I mean, let me look at this paper. What's your full name? You know, I feel like that is a real complication for teachers. Just that little thing of what to call the kid in the first place.
Yeah. The legislature has been passing laws going back 50 years. Matt, you dealt with this, the Gordon Rule, which required you to be literate and write because the state senator 50 years ago named Jack Gordon was convinced that Florida college students couldn't write. And so they've added courses. They now have in order to graduate, you have to pass a civics exam, which is new. So the state continually adds requirements, both at the secondary and at the college level, for students to accomplish.
I feel like they're just going to just start calling the kids by numbers. That would be the easiest thing to do. I don't know. That would be, you sit in a certain chair and number 5, it just really takes something away because you want to be called by your nickname. But what if the parent forgets to fill out the whole paperwork thing and it has to do with all the pronouns and all that stuff? But just a nickname, it's so much work for the teachers again and the parents. Another step, something else that could be forgotten or falls through the cracks.
Yeah, I guess Ginger, until Matt fills out the form, you'll have to call him Matthew?
That's true. Yes, that is my legal given name. Until I get it figured out. This is Matthew Austin with Florida's 4th Estate. Jimbo Clark, I appreciate you joining us for this episode as we begin another school year in the state of Florida, maybe one like we have never seen before. Is the drama going to just chill out and subside? I don't know. I sure hope so. I hope it just is a nice, easy year for these kids, but who knows what's going to happen?
We'll have to find. Time will tell,
yes,
as the cliche goes. Only time will tell.
Jim Clark, UCF history professor, News 6 political expert. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode. Look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend.
And thank you for watching. You can download Florida's 4th Estate from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus. And while you're there, check out this episode where we take you on an African safari right here in Central Florida.
And then we have some hands-on interactive things like lemur feeding. You can do a cheetah encounter, which is really cool.
Look at you.
Wyoming and places.
God, you're pretty.
Hi. Hello. I'm going to go nice and low. Just open it up and let it fall. Okay.
And the episode where we go beyond the gate of Super Nintendo World. We're
Here
going
we
to have
are,
the sound in
Princess
post.
Peach's castle.
Oh, yes.
Here we go.
Hello.
Welcome.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastical.
I'm gonna have Jim just pan real quick, give you an overshot of it.
Okay. I
love
get
the
it.
Coins. I like seeing the coins there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are also live cams. Hundreds of people sit down just to enjoy the beach from home, overlook the city beautiful, or watch the cruise ships come in. It's all available free on New 6 Plus. Just download the New 6 Plus app on your smart TV and keep watching.